Hi and welcome to one of my vintage HiFi videos. A video I wasn't expecting to make, but I thought I'd share it with you anyway. Maybe some interest to someone. Not really any tips as such, but anyway, just bear along. What it is really, I had these speakers, I've only had them a little while now. I bought them for £50, as a few of you may recall watching the video, and I thought they was pretty good for the money I paid, so I was quite pleased with them. But unfortunately, I managed to blow each of the mid-ranges in both. And how this happened was, the speakers were obviously set up here on the side. I had a little amp down there, and my granddaughter come round one day, and she comes in, has a look around the room, and always got radios and receivers and whatever about. She always calls it junk and rubbish because she's only young. And I think I was printing something out, and obviously she usually sits here and I sit over there. And it was here, and so she's obviously twiddled about with the knobs without me realising. She's gone. A few hours later, I thought I'll stick a CD on, press play, and really, startled me how loud it was. What's happened here? Dived for the volume control and turned it down. So now I think, oh, have I done any damage? Gingerly turned it up and realised they didn't sound quite right. Put my ear to them, and both mid-ranges have gone, one in each speaker. So I was left with a bit of a pickle. Thought, what am I going to do here? These are not speakers that come up all that often. I don't really want to buy another pair of them just to get a 4-inch. So I had a quick look around on eBay and places like that. See if I can find a 4-inch driver or mid-range for sale that I thought might be okay for this. And I weren't really getting very far, to be honest with you. We're not going to pay silly prices, £30 and £40 each, that's for certain. And I suddenly remembered I had them all in short 10s a little while ago, which I passed on to a friend. So I rung him up, quickly went round and just put one speaker back. And yeah, they had exactly the same fittings. Trouble is, the actual cage in the back, the kind of housing of it was a bit wider. Even though it's a 4-inch speaker, it was a bit wider than these for some reason. So yeah, I go and get myself one of these rasps, and as you can see in picture 1 here, I thought, well, let's go for it. It isn't going to make much difference. It weren't much of an adjustment, so I went round it. In these couple of pictures here, you can see it didn't take a lot of filing, to be honest with you. It only took me 5 minutes, and that's how I was, all on the floor, giving it a little go. Yeah, and there it is. I've finished there with a gasket, ready to put the new speaker in, or the new second-hand speaker in, just to try it out, see if that's going to sound okay. If it was, I was going to shoot out and see if I can try and find a pair of these speakers. If not, maybe kind of come to some arrangement with my friends to get them back. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, this last picture, I put them back in. It's all in there nicely now. So I thought I'd give it a test. But just before I'd say that, is when you take these speakers out, if you had to do a replacement on any of them, always check the wiring at the back. As you take them out, the speaker's usually got a positive, a red mark or something like that. Just make a note of which wire goes to it. So you get, when you put it all back, you get it in the right phase. You don't want a positive in the, positive connected to a negative. So when these speakers are actually, if I take this other speaker off as well, you'll get an idea of what I'm on about. Is that when it's playing a bit of music, say it's a pulse of music, if these are out of phase, a pulse of music, this cone would come out, this cone would come out. Now if it was out of phase, this cone would come out, but that cone would actually go inwards. So it won't be pushing the air about as it should do, and it'll sound out of phase. So just something to bear in mind there, when you're taking any of these speakers out, make sure you make a note of which wire goes to which terminal. So anyway, so yeah, I put the speakers back in, that speaker in, shall I say, listened to it, and I thought, it don't sound too bad. Obviously I've only got one, I only borrowed one off of him. So I thought, oh, let's have a look around and see if I can find any more of these speakers. They do come up quite, they're up there fairly often, more often than these anyway. But lucky enough, I did find another pair where I bought the other ones from. We got a place called Gumtree in the UK, probably like Craigslist in America. There was another pair there, and yet again they were £30. But the cases were really scratched up and everything. I ain't actually got a case here to show you. But anyway, it was really scratched up, the cases, so I emailed him and said I'll give you 20, see if I was willing to pay him 30 because I did want them, but I thought I'd offer 20 because they're scratched up. And he accepted that, and he was only a few miles away, so I quickly shot round there, picked them up, brought them home, and I thought, so they work. Anyway, his speakers worked fine. He said he'd been using them as monitor speakers or something, but anyway, they worked fine. So yeah, I just basically took the two drivers in them speakers, but actually used them for mid-ranges in this. And being a kind of similar price bracket speaker, so to speak, I mean, if the manufacturers of these say, they buy them in or make them for £10 each, these, it's probably pretty much more than short make these for £10. and Wharfedale make them for £10 if you kind of get me meaning here. They're both 8 ohms. They're going to be similar-ish, you know what I mean? They're not going to be a million miles away. Now, different if this was a £2,000 speaker and I went out and replaced it with just a £10 replacement mid-range, obviously that's going to sound totally different to the original mid-range in there, which was probably a couple of £100, so to speak. So, you know, you're paying for what you get, and they weren't a million miles away from each other. So anyway, so yeah, I managed to put them in there. I've given them a listen, and yeah, they're pretty much, you know, they're not far away, you know what I mean? They're pretty much to how the Wharfedales used to be, you know, as I can remember them. They sound pretty much the same, to be honest with you. Maybe just a little bit more vocally, maybe. But other than that, pretty much the same. So, for the time being, they're going to do me. And yeah, I'm still happy with them. They still sound fine to me. If a pair come up on eBay, these 90s, really cheap local pickup or something, or something's not working, the bass ain't working or something, and I can manage to get these for maybe £30 a pair or something like that, I probably would be tempted to take these out and put the original ones back in. Then obviously they're back to the original state. But at the moment, what I've paid, I've blown them up. I managed to quickly rectify it without spending too much more money to get yourself out of trouble. So I was a bit lucky in one way that these main bottom units didn't go, because I would have had, I think, quite a lot of aggro getting a big bass speaker like this to fit in that sounded pretty similar and weren't going to cost me too much money. And the tweeters, I did look around on eBay, and one bloke had them up for $7.99 each, so if one of them would have went, the original tweeter $7.99 weren't going to be like the end of the world. But anyway, I just thought you may find that interesting, or maybe not. A video I weren't expecting to do, but just shows you how easy it is to blow these items up with, just having that amp on number 10, no protection. Just one of them things, a bit unlucky really, I suppose. But that's it really. Until the next video, I'll say thanks for watching.